Hello, thank you for tuning into Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith and welcome to your news at noon. These are the top stories we're tracking. Exxon will now be producing more oil faster than planned. China's contract clauses in conflict with debt relief commitments made under G20 framework, and rape and sexual molestation of children dominate trials for Essequibo. Meanwhile, ex-land boss slapped with another charge for misconduct in public office. Do stay tuned. And now for the news in detail. ExxonMobil in recent years had maintained that its projected estimated oil production from the Stabroek Block would be just about 750,000 barrels per day in 2026, but this has since been revised upwards. As such, it would mean that the U.S. oil major has brought forward its production levels schedule in Guyana with an aim to now be producing more oil faster than initially planned. This is since the submissions for the company's fourth oil field development in the Yellowtail Block will see production numbers now being pegged at about 800,000 barrels per day at the end of 2025, when that field is expected to see first oil at a nameplate capacity of 250,000 barrels per day. In other news, at least two contract clauses used by China's state lending entities are in conflict with a debt relief commitment, which the country made under the G20 Common Framework last year. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit nations in 2020, it was observed that it had ravaging effects globally and particularly left poor and indebted countries at a grave disadvantage. In light of that, the G20, a group of the world's major economies, sought to bring debt relief by introducing the Debt Suspension Initiative, which China, the US, India, and many other lender nations signed onto. It required governments to coordinate debt relief terms for countries, utilizing Paris Club conventions. It must be noted that the Paris Club is a group of officials from major creditor countries, and it seeks to find coordinated and sustainable solutions to repayment difficulties being faced by debtor countries. Meanwhile, a list of cases for persons committed to stand trial at the upcoming session of the High Court of the Supreme Court of Judicature for the county of Essequibo commencing next Tuesday sees the rape of and sexual molestation of children under the age of 16, accounting for more than half of those committed. According to a breakdown of the list since Gazette, of the 72 cases for trial, 10 persons have been committed for rape of adults. Another 20 persons are facing multiple counts of rape of a child under the age of 16 years. When it comes to the sexual activity or molestation of children under the age of 16, an additional 6 persons are facing trial. And now let's tell you that former GL&SC head Trevor Benn yesterday made another court appearance after he was charged for misconducting himself in public office by selling a portion of state land to Sevon's Waste Management Inc. for $80 million. 53-year-old Benn is now facing 3 charges in relation to the illegal sale of state land. Senior Magistrate Daly adjourned the matter to June 18, 2021 and placed Benn on $100,000 bail for the offense. You are listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. Coming up after the break, ex-Go Invest CEO applies to set up storage facility for oil sector, and taxi driver arrested for allegedly raping teen. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Former Go Invest CEO Owen Verwey has submitted plans to the EPA requesting permission to construct a storage facility to support Guyana's nascent oil and gas industry. The application was submitted on April 28th last. The proposed facility will be constructed on abandoned cane field lands at Houston on the east bank of Demerara on some 1.6 acres and will be used to house non-hazardous materials. This is in addition to the storage imported equipment, parts and tools that will be transferred to offshore oil operations in the Stabroek Block. According to the project summary submitted by Verwey, a verification inspection has confirmed that aside from an existing fence and drain, no other construction will be required for the project. And moving on, a taxi driver who was being sought by police after it was reported that he drove a teenage girl to a different location from the place which she requested and allegedly raped her has been arrested. Police sources close to the investigation revealed that the man was captured on Wednesday and is in custody pending charges. According to police, the incident occurred around 23 hours on Tuesday last in Bartica. The young woman had told police that on the night of the incident, instead of carrying her to her destination, which she requested, the driver drove some distance away in another direction where he committed the act. After filing a report, she was escorted to the hospital for a medical examination. And now let's tell you, with harvesting for the first rice crop of 2021 almost complete, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has disclosed that rehabilitation works on most of the dams in the rice-producing areas have been completed. Minister Mustafa made this disclosure while giving an update on spring crop harvesting activities across the country. He said that proper infrastructure remains both a critical and an integral part of rice production in Guyana. As it relates to other regions, Minister Mustafa said that due to the inclement weather, works had to be put on hold, thus affecting rehabilitation works on dams in Region 3 and 4. Meanwhile, Gary Morris, an APNU-FC supporter, was yesterday jointly charged with Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones, Opposition Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson, and several other coalition supporters for an illegal procession. The other charged supporters are Mark Griffith, Malcolm Billison, Travis Ellis, Gordon Lucas, and George Haley. The matter was first called on Friday, May 7, 2021, in the Georgetown Magistrates Courts before Senior Magistrate Leron Daly, but Morris and Billison failed to appear in court. The magistrate had issued summons for the absentees and adjourned the matter to yesterday's date. However, Billison still failed to make a court appearance. And at this time, we now head over to our COVID-19 update, followed by the page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated to being blunt. The Ministry of Health yesterday announced that 2 men who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. The deaths now bring Guyana's COVID-19 death toll to 335. Dead is a 70-year-old from Region 4 and a 69-year-old from Region 10. The Health Ministry, recorded 143 new COVID-19 cases, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 14,988. 14 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 113 persons are in institutional isolation, 1,692 in home isolation, and 9 persons are quarantined institutionally. To date, 12,834 recoveries have been recorded. Yes, and now we'll head over to the Kaieteur News, the blunt page. One day after our health minister announced that the wearing of masks was necessary even in office spaces, U.S. officials have advised that vaccinated persons can once again go maskless. In fact, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has noted that physical distancing can also cease for the fully vaccinated. But exactly what is the protocol that we should be adhering to here? We call upon the minister to embrace caution in advising the nation on the way forward, as we would not want to see more persons becoming infected should we opt to relax measures so soon after vaccination. And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your